Metroid Zero Mission is not just a remake of the original NES classic, it's a reimagining that brings one of the most iconic adventures in video game history into the modern era. The original Metroid, released in 1986, introduces players to Samus Aran, a lone bounty hunter exploring the dangerous world of Zebes. For its time, the game was revolutionary, blending platforming, exploration, and non-linear gameplay in a way very few games had ever done before. Despite its innovation, the original had limitations, sparse visuals, minimal storytelling, and a lack of modern conveniences that today's gamers might take for granted. Nintendo recognized the timeless appeal of Metroid and, in 2004, decided to bring this classic to the Game Boy Advance with Metroid Zero Mission. Rather than being a simple port, this remake completely overhauled the game experience, updating the graphics, enhancing the soundtrack, and introducing new areas and gameplay mechanics. The goal was clear: preserve the spirit of the original while making it accessible and exciting for a new generation of players. Returning to direct the project was none other than Yoshio Sakamoto, the visionary behind the original series. He, along with a team of talented developers, wanted to make sure Samus felt as agile and powerful as ever. Players could now enjoy refined controls, more responsive movement, and a combat system that made every encounter feel tense and rewarding. Composer Minako Hamano returned to craft a new score that paid homage to the original while adding fresh tracks that heightened the sense of danger and adventure. Zero Mission didn't just modernize gameplay, it also expanded the story. Unlike the original, which left much to the imagination, this remake added cinematic cutscenes and dialogue, giving players a deeper understanding of Samus, her mission, and the menacing space pirates she faces. Fans appreciated the added narrative depth, while newcomers would jump in without feeling lost. The game's structure remained faithful to the original Metroid formula, with exploration, power-ups, and hidden secrets forming the backbone of the experience. Each new area challenges the player to think strategically and explore thoroughly, rewarding those who take the time to discover secret rooms, hidden upgrades, and shortcuts that make backtracking feel satisfying rather than tedious. Boss battles are thrilling, each with its own patterns and weaknesses to learn, providing both tension and triumph when conquered. Upon its release, Metroid Zero Mission received widespread acclaim for balancing nostalgia with innovation. Critics praised the polished graphics, improved controls, and the way it stayed true to the essence of the original while offering new surprises for returning fans. Modern players can still experience the thrill of uncovering hidden items, defeating challenging bosses, and piecing together the story of Samus Aran in a way that feels both classic and fresh. But what if I told you there's more to this game than meets the eye? What if I showed you how to find every hidden item, access secret areas, and unlock the game's best ending with minimal frustration? What if I revealed strategies to defeat every boss efficiently, including some that have confused players for years? On today's episode of Retro Kingpin, we're diving deep into Metroid Zero Mission. We'll explore every secret, reveal the best ways to tackle challenging encounters, and provide professional strategies that both casual and hardcore gamers can use. If you're new here, this channel specializes in deep dives on retro video games, giving you the tips, tricks, and insights you need to master the classics like this one. Make sure to subscribe and check out RetroKingpin.com for full episode lists and news, and join our Patreon for exclusive content, community discussions, and the chance to vote on future episodes. Let's get started. Landing on Zebes, first steps. Alright bounty hunters, welcome back to Planet Zebes. After that atmospheric intro sequence, we're dropping straight into the action at the exact same starting location as the original NES Metroid. Pretty nostalgic, right? So here we are in Brinstar, and our first move is heading left. You'll immediately notice these little bug-like creatures called zoomers crawling around the walls and ceiling. Don't worry though, even with Samus's basic beam having terrible range right now, these guys are total pushovers. Just blast them away, getting the morph ball. Now keep moving left and you'll spot your very first major upgrade sitting right here in a Chozo statue, the morph ball. This is absolutely essential, so grab it immediately. Continue right through the cavern, blasting more zoomers as you go. You'll hit a blue door, go through it, and cross the next chamber. Don't worry about those cracked blocks in the floor just yet. We'll need bombs for those later. Here's where things get a bit spicy. In the next corridor, 3 Scree are going to dive bomb you from the ceiling. Here's the pro tip, just run past them and stay back when they explode. They shoot out dangerous shrapnel, so give them some space. Duck under that big rocky overhang and keep moving right. This is where the game gets really cool. Jump on its hands and activate your morph ball. The statue lights up, plays this beautiful melody, and then shows you a map revealing where the long beam is located. Pay attention to this map. It's your roadmap to your next upgrade. Pro tip, every single Chozo statue in the game will fully restore your health and missiles when you morph ball in their hands. This includes the ones holding items, so remember this for the tough sections later. Now we're hunting for that long beam. Head through the passage behind the statue into the next room, and wow, you're at the bottom of this massive vertical shaft. Before you start climbing, duck into that save room on the right and save your progress. Trust me on this one. Okay, it's time to ascend. You'll see zoomers crawling all over the walls here, plus these flying enemies called rippers that you can't damage yet. Just avoid them for now. Climb up past the first door you see on the right wall and keep going until you find a door on the left side instead, claiming the long beam. Head left through this new corridor and head all the way to the end. Shoot open that door and boom, there's the long beam waiting in another Chozo statue. This upgrade is a game changer since it triples your beam range. No more awkwardly getting close to enemies, exploring the upper areas. Climb up this secret shaft until you emerge in a long horizontal corridor. Check your map. You're now in the area directly above where you got the long beam. Head left first, but watch out for those acid pits. They'll damage you if you fall in, so be careful with your jumps. Go through the door on the left to find the gold statue room. This massive statue has carvings of both Ridley and Kraid, the 2 main bosses you'll need to defeat before accessing the final area, Tourian. Pretty ominous, right? Mini boss encounter. Now backtrack and head all the way right to find a sealed door. But wait, suddenly this huge side hopper comes crashing down. This thing is basically a mini boss, especially on hard mode where it can really pack a punch. Watch its jumping pattern carefully and keep blasting it. It takes quite a few hits, but eventually it'll explode in a satisfying burst. The moment it dies, that sealed door starts flashing. Your victory unlocked it, getting directions to the bombs. Head through the newly opened door to find another Chozo statue. This one's facing you, so hop on its hands for another guidance sequence. This statue will show you where the bomb upgrade is hidden.
Here's where it gets fun. Shoot through those blocks in the narrow tunnel that lines up perfectly with the door. See how they break away? Now you can slip right through and access the door. Head inside this tiny connecting room and you'll find yourself at another tall shaft that goes both up and down. Notice that red door that's staring you right in the face? Yeah, we're gonna need missiles to crack that open. So our first order of business is hunting down the initial Missile expansion. Drop down this shaft all the way to the bottom, and hey, if you want to play it safe, there's a safe room right below the red door if you need it. Once you hit rock bottom, head through this rocky corridor and you'll spot the first missile tank sitting pretty on the bottom of a pillar. But wait, did you feel that? The screen's starting to shake like crazy as you entered this area, and that's never a good sign in Metroid. Now head back towards that left door, and boom, you're face to face with this massive centipede creature called the Deorem. This thing is absolutely relentless, but if you manage to take it down on your first encounter, it'll drop the charge beam upgrade. Don't stress if it gets away though, you'll get another shot at this bug later on.
Fun fact, Yoshio Sakamoto was literally the only person from the original 1986 Metroid team to work on Zero Mission. Talk about carrying the torch single-handedly. Did you know the developers originally considered porting Super Metroid to the Game Boy Advance instead? Lucky for us, Sakamoto decided to go back to the very beginning and remake the original instead.
Now, let's put that missile to good use. Climb up back to that red door and blast it open.
Here's something wild. Zero Mission was supposed to connect with Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, just like how Fusion connected with the first Prime. But the release dates were way too far apart, so they scrapped those plans entirely. Fun fact, this was the first Metroid game ever to let you choose your difficulty level right from the start. Revolutionary stuff for the series back in 2004.
Cross through that following corridor, but keep your eyes peeled for some of those annoying flying bugs, and whatever you do, don't step in the acid pits. Samus really doesn't like that stuff. You'll see another missile tank below in the next small room, but trust me, it's way easier to grab once you've got the power grip ability, so we'll circle back to that one later. Moving right along, you'll hit this cavern with 2 bug nests completely blocking your path. Just blast them down with your beam. They'll crumble pretty easily, and don't forget to snag that missile tank just before you leave this area. Cross into this small room and you'll enter another large corridor where there's a missile tank right at the entrance. You can't miss it. If that Deorem managed to escape earlier, guess what? It's waiting for you right here, ready for round 2. Finish off this persistent pest once and for all and claim that charge beam. Then grab the energy tank that's sitting on the pillar nearby. Pro tip here, try out your morph ball bombs right away in these areas. Zero Mission loves hiding secrets that bombs can reveal.
Did you know Zero Mission introduced the iconic Zero Suit Samus gameplay? You're crawling through vents on your hands and knees with just a stun pistol. Talk about vulnerability. Here's a cool bit of trivia. The game sold 151,807 copies in its first month and was actually the best-selling Game Boy Advance game in America that February. Not too shabby.
Beyond the door at the far right, you'll find another shaft going both directions. Drop down and blast through. That red door taxes Brinstar's map room. Super helpful to have that downloaded. Now climb this shaft as high as you can and go and head left. There's a save room straight ahead in this shaft if you need it, but when you're ready, go left at the top.
Fun fact, if you beat the game, you unlock the original NES Metroid as a bonus. But here's the kicker, they added a save feature instead of those brutal password systems.
Roll through this narrow tunnel in the bluish corridor and blow through the red door to finally track down the bomb upgrade, one of the most satisfying power-ups in the entire game. Now before you leave, make sure you grab the missile tank that's also in here.
Did you know there are unused sprites for Crocomire hidden in the game's code? The developers planned to include this fan favorite boss, but ended up cutting it during development. Here's something interesting. The game reuses the story elements from a Japan-only book called Metroid Zebe's Invasion Order from way back in 1986. They basically brought those ideas full circle.
Now, here's where things get interesting. Back in the bluish corridor, the doors suddenly lock themselves. Classic Metroid trap room. Head over to the pillar near the right door and bomb it open. This releases a bunch of small parasites that were hiding above as soon as they hit the ground, laying bombs before they can swarm Samus. Once you've cleared out all these little pests, the doors will unlock and you're free to go. If you want to visit the next Chozo statue, which is totally optional by the way, backtrack down to that long corridor, then head to the left room where you first found your first energy tank. Bomb through the floor, descend the short shaft, head left, and blast through the red door. Then watch out for the herd of waivers though. They can be pretty aggressive in groups. The statue's waiting patiently inside, and when you jump on its hands and activate the morph ball, it'll show you exactly where the ice beam is located in northern Norfair. Pretty handy intel. Time to continue the journey. Backtrack down to the corridor where you first met our Centipede friend and head right. Bomb through the wall that's blocking your path, and you'll find a small chamber with an elevator. Ride it down and congratulations. You're now entering Norfair's fiery caverns, where things are about to heat up considerably. Alright, as Samus takes this elevator down, check out this ominous cutscene. Mother Brain is watching our every move with that creepy Eye of Sauron vibe. Classic Nintendo atmosphere building right there. Welcome to Norfair. You'll immediately recognize that iconic Norfair theme remix. It's such a perfect modernization of the original tune. Now before we hunt down that ice beam, we absolutely need to grab the power grip first. Trust me, this upgrade is a game changer that lets Samus hang and climb ledges like a space ninja. Drop down past that purple Ripper enemy and hit up the save room on the right if you want to play it safe. When you're ready, head through this long fiery corridor. You'll spot a missile tank along the way, but we're gonna circle back for that once we've got the power grip. It'll make things so much smoother. At the end of this corridor, you'll find another shaft with an elevator. Hop on and surprise, you're back in Crateria.
Fun fact, Zero Mission appeared in an episode of House MD. You can actually see House playing it, though they changed the sound effects probably due to copyright issues.
There's some sweet loot up here we definitely want to grab. Head right through this cave and blast through that wall blocking your path. The door beyond leads to this massive underwater cavern filled with skeleton enemies swimming around. Here's a neat trick. You can actually grab the missile tank underwater even without the gravity suit. Pretty convenient, right? Use those floating platforms to reach the top left corner of the cavern. Blow down the wall here and climb through the ceiling opening.
Did you know this game pioneered the ability to stack ice and wave beams together? In the original Metroid, picking up one beam would cancel out the other. Such a quality of life improvement.
Now you're in Chozo Ruins. This outdoor area has such a cool atmosphere with all those ancient structures. Roll through these narrow tunnels on your right until you reach an enclosed door. Inside this cave, you'll find your first unknown item tucked in the corner. That mysterious jingle when you pick it up always gives me chills. The game tells you it's not compatible with your current suit, but you can probably guess what it is just by looking at it. Here's the cool part. This unknown item lets you destroy these large blocks scattered around this area. Go ahead and test it while you grab that missile tank nearby. Head back outside and climb up to the open air.
Here's a development tidbit. They used a rebuilt version of Metroid Fusion's game engine to create Zero Mission. What a smart way to build on what already worked. Fun fact, the game takes place in the year 20x5 of the cosmic calendar. I love how Nintendo just went with that futuristic dating system.
Not much to see here on the right for now, so go left and jump up the platforms to reach a door inside what looks like a giant beaked statue. So cool. Inside, you'll find this desolate area with these massive, intimidating Chozo statues that are slowly crumbling. Try walking across that bridge ahead. Spoiler alert, you're gonna fall right through. Don't worry, it's supposed to happen. You'll drop down to the base of a tall shaft, break through the wall in the left corner, and navigate through some short tunnels to find a hidden room. And there it is, the power grip upgrade. This is such a crucial ability that completely changes how you navigate the world. Use your new power grip to escape the room. And watch this, as you re-enter the shaft, a giant statue in the center starts rising up automatically. The Chozo really thought of everything. Small platforms appear so you can climb back up. Ascend the shaft, head left, and cross through the empty room to find Samus's ship at the landing site.
Did you know Zero Mission is one of only 2 remakes in the entire Metroid series? The other being Samus Returns. These games are pretty special in the franchise. Here's some cool trivia. There are unused subtitles for the intro cutscene buried in the game's code that you can actually reactivate with cheat codes. Hidden treasures are everywhere.
It's always a good idea to save at your ship, then head through the right door to get back to the Norfair elevator.
Fun fact, IGN named this the 9th best Game Boy Advance game of all time, while GameSpot called it the absolute best GBA game ever made. That's some serious critical acclaim.
Time to hunt down that ice beam. First though, let's grab those missile tanks we passed earlier. Now that we have the power grip, they're much easier to collect. Back in the elevator shaft, head right and save your game before this next section.
Did you know that the game's sales actually spiked on the eShop after Metroid Dread was announced in 2021? It became the best-selling title that month. Talk about renewed interest. Here's something neat. Zero Mission includes 4 visual cutscenes that actually change color depending on whether you've got the Varia suit or not. Yellow for basic power suit, orange for Varia suit.
You'll enter this giant lava cavern filled with platforms and enemies. Make your way to the right side, but watch out for those bomb launchers in the ground. They're pretty aggressive.
Fun fact, speedrunners can complete this game collecting as little as 9% of the items through sequence breaking. The game's design is so flexible, it basically breaks itself.
The door on the right leads to what looks like a shaft going skyward, but here's something cool. This is actually the tallest shaft in all of Norfair, and you'll be revisiting this place multiple times throughout your journey. For now, climb up and take the first door. Use these small blocks floating above the lava as stepping stones. Classic Metroid platforming challenge right here.
Did you know Nintendo Power ranked Zero Mission as the 46th best Nintendo game ever made across all systems? And they later called it the best Game Boy Advance game period in 2011. That's
Head
legacy
left
status
once more,
right there.
And finally, there's the ice beam. Here's where it gets interesting. That green door behind you seals shut after you grab the ice beam. You can't open it without super missiles, so you'll need to find another way out. Bomb through the wall behind the Chozo statue and keep moving. Use your new ice beam to freeze the purple ripper and use it as a platform to reach the door. This is exactly the kind of creative problem solving that makes Metroid so satisfying. In the next shaft, there's a save room on the left if you need it.
Did you know Zero Mission actually adds a whole new area called Chozodia that wasn't in the original game? It's where Samus gets her legendary upgraded power suit after passing an ancient Chozo trial.
To climb up, freeze those rippers flying around and use them as stepping stones. It's like they've become your personal elevator system.
Here's something crazy. In hard mode, energy tanks only give you 50 energy instead of the usual 100, and missile expansions only add 2 missiles instead of 5. They really weren't messing around with that difficulty spike.
In the following corridor, you'll see enemies jumping out of the lava. Freeze them as platforms to cross. Another perfect example of how the ice beam opens up new traversal options. Eventually you'll reach a Chozo statue with outstretched hands. Jump on and check this out. The map reveals your next destination, pointing directly to Kraid's lair. That glowing dot centers on the room right behind Kraid, so you know exactly what's coming up next. Grab that missile tank to the right before you leave, then backtrack through the tall shaft in the Brinstar elevator.
Fun fact, the game included a time attack mode that's hidden until you beat normal mode. You have to press up, left, right, and down at the start screen to unlock it. Old school cheat code vibes.
And don't forget to snag another missile tank on your way back. Efficiency is key in this Metroid walkthrough.
Time to head back to Brinstar. Trek back to that corridor where you found the first Chozo statue. Did you know connecting Zero Mission to Metroid Fusion with a game link unlocks a secret gallery? It shows Samus's backstory from the destruction of K2L all the way to her Chozo training. Now here's a wild detail. Zero Mission was the very last game released in Japan compared to other regions. While North America got it in February of 2004, Japan had to wait until May 27th. Along the way, feel free to grab those missile tanks if you haven't already. Every bit of firepower helps for what's coming up. Fun fact, the game won Handheld Game of the Year at the 8th Annual Interactive Achievement Awards, beat out all the other portable games that year. Did you know there's actually unused code in the game for toggling items on or off, just like in Super Metroid? They even plan to make red doors take 5 missiles to open instead of just 1. Once you're back in the statue's corridor, head left past the rocky outcropping and look up. There's an energy tank hidden in the ceiling that's super easy to miss. Go left again to find this familiar small chamber with a line of bomb blocks covering a shaft leading down. Now bomb your way through and descend. At the bottom, head right to find an elevator sitting in front of this rocky wall with a creepy statue head carved into it. Notice how the music suddenly gets all ominous and eerie? Yeah, that's your cue that something big and nasty is awaiting below. Welcome to Kraid's Lair. This place is an absolute maze, so pay close attention if you don't want to get completely lost. Your map is going to be your best friend down here. First things first, enter the save room on the left of the main shaft and grab the missile tank before you leave. Then blast open the red door across the shaft. Now here's something really cool. If you explore around Kraid's area, you'll notice these zip lines in various rooms, but they're all powered down right now. We need to find the power generator first. Head through that red door and you'll enter the first corridor where there's another missile tank waiting. Watch out for these side hoppers bouncing around. They're more aggressive down here than in other areas. In the next room, you'll see this shaft leading up with a large glass tube running along the right wall. Here's a neat trick. Bomb open the floor right against that tube and drop down to find a morph ball launcher. Use it to shoot Samus up the tube to grab the missile tank up there, or save time by picking it up on your way back. Climb to the top of that shaft and head left. Here's something interesting. Electronic Gaming Monthly named Zero Mission the best handheld game of 2004, beating every other portable title across all systems that year. cross this acid-filled corridor. Notice that zipline in the ceiling? That'll be useful once we get the power on. The next room has a hidden area you definitely don't want to miss. Drop through that narrow shaft against the left wall and lay bombs as you fall. Near the bottom, there's a bomb block covering a secret enclosure. Now blow it open, use the morph ball launcher to get inside, clear out the enemies, and blast through the red door. Now all those zip lines throughout Kraid's lair are fully functional. Here's how zip lines work. Shoot that red switch to call the clamp over, then just jump up and touch it to ride across. Grab that energy tank on the far right side. But here's where the game gets sneaky. Notice how that left door sealed when you entered? Your only way out is through the right door. Classic Metroid trap room design. Now head right, save your game, then jump down to the door below in that shaft you visited earlier. Boss battle, Mua, the acid worm. Cross into this large purple room filled with what looks like acid, and boom, the door seals behind you. Grab that zipline clamp and suddenly this massive acid worm bursts out to attack. The Mua boss battle strategy. Use the zipline to stay mobile and avoid the worm's lunges. Fire missiles at the worm's head when it surfaces. Watch for acid projectiles and move accordingly. Now keep moving. Staying still makes you an easy target. The battle ends when the acid drains, revealing that it was fake. Pro tip, you can ride while in the morph ball mode too, which is super handy when there are blocks that only give you a tiny space to squeeze through. Fun fact, the Japanese gaming magazine Famitsu gave Zero Mission a score of 34 out of 40. That's pretty solid praise from one of the most respected gaming publications in Japan. Did you know there's a WarioWare DIY microgame based on Zero Mission? It's simply called Metroid and lets you play a tiny version of the game in just a few seconds. Now with the worm defeated, the fake acid drains and the doors unlock. Grab that missile tank before leaving, then retrace your steps back to the main elevator shaft. time for the main event, Kraid himself. Now save your game if you'd like, then head through that blue door below the save room. Let's test your Metroid knowledge. Who was the only person from the original 1986 Metroid development team to work on Zero Mission? Drop your answer in the comments. Cross the acid-filled corridor using the zip lines in the ceiling. Activate Morph Ball mode and bomb jump up to the clamp. This lets you avoid hitting all those blocks along the conveyor path. In the next shaft, grab the missile tank, then bomb through the floor where you see the Ripper flying in the acid below. Plot twist, drop down and you'll discover that acid is completely fake. It's actually concealing this huge hidden shaft. At the bottom, head right, then right again. And blast through the red door to find another missile tank. Back in the room with the red door, look for a suspicious block at the foot of the left door. Bomb it and fall through to discover more hidden areas. You'll see another one of those large blocks that matches the unknown items from Crateria. Keep descending, save your game on the left, then head right past those pipes spewing enemies. At the end of the corridor, instead of going through the door, shoot those crumbling blocks above and crawl through the narrow tunnel. This leads to a room containing the second unknown item, and notice you couldn't have entered through that door? Here's a tricky one for the developers out there. What game engine did Nintendo use as the foundation for Zero Mission? Let me know what you think below. Navigate back up through the tunnel, watch out for crawling enemies, and make your way to the door above. Cross the green corridor filled with side hoppers and flying bugs to reach another save room. Can you guess what other Metroid game the developers originally considered porting to the Game Boy Advance before settling on the original? Alright, a quick question for the music lovers. Name one of the two composers who worked on Zero Mission soundtrack. The small green room beyond has a crumbling block in the floor. Bomb it open and fall through to find yourself in this giant room full of red crawling enemies. You're getting close to Kraid now. You'll slip down between two more unknown item blocks. If you fall, climb back up and destroy both blocks, then head left through the tunnel they were covering. Boss battle, Kraid. The next room has this weird eyeball creature blocking the door. Veterans of Super Metroid will recognize this guy. Walk up and wait for the eye to slowly open. Then fire a single missile into it. Just watch out for the projectiles it spits out. Go through the door and, yikes, you've just woken up Kraid, and he does not look happy about it. Kraid battle strategy. Aim for Kraid's mouth when it opens. That's his weak spot. Jump to avoid his claws and the rocks he throws. Use platforms on the sides to get different firing angles. Now fire missiles when his mouth opens. Watch for the smaller enemies he spawns and clear them out. Stay mobile. Kraid's size makes him slow but powerful. Now here's one that might surprise you. In what month and year did Zero Mission first launch in North America? Alright, let's test your knowledge. Zero Mission was the best-selling Game Boy Advance game in its debut month. But how many copies did it sell in the United States in that first month? With Kraid finally defeated, you'll see a cutscene showing the gold statue room in Crateria. Kraid's half of the statue lights up with red eyes. One boss down, one to go before you can access Tourian. Bomb through the left corner of Kraid's now empty room to find everyone's favorite upgrade, the speed booster. This thing is an absolute game changer. Refill your energy and ammo at the statue, then head down to the corner underneath it. Start running right and re-enter Kraid's lair. Can you name the major gaming convention where Nintendo first revealed Zero Mission to the public? Keep that run going to build up the speed booster charge. You'll slam right through the wall on the right side and emerge back in that room full of red crawlies. Keep running up the slope. Shoot open the door and enter this tall shaft. Slam through the speed booster, block wall, and start climbing. Pro tip, you can crouch and shine spark straight up the shaft to save tons of time. The first door on the left has a missile tank. Then ascend to the top. Here's an interesting release order question. Which region got Zero Mission last? Was it North America, Europe, or Japan? Let's see if you know your Metroid firsts. Zero Mission was the first game in the series to include what major feature at the start menu? Head right to save if you'd like, then go left and jump onto that zipline clamp. Face right as you travel and fire missiles like crazy at those flying bugs. You really don't want to fall into the acid below, or you'll have to backtrack through that missile tank corridor again. At the end of the conveyor, blast out the unknown item block and head left to find yourself back in the main shaft. Before leaving, make sure to grab the missile tank and energy tank here. With both items secured, head back to Brinstar. You're done with Kraid's lair for now, and you've got the speed booster. Things are about to get a lot more interesting. Here's a technical one for you speedrunners. What's the minimum percentage of items you can collect and still complete Zero Mission? Drop your answer below. Can you name the weak weapon Samus uses when she's in her Zero suit? Bonus points if you know what color the enemies turn when they're stunned. Next up is the high jump and the Varia suit section. Now as you ride the elevator back up to Brinstar, check out this dramatic cutscene. Ridley's piloting this massive space pirate ship in outer space. That's definitely not good news for our galaxy. We'll deal with that threat later. Here's some cool trivia. What's the name of the new area in Zero Mission that wasn't in the original Metroid? Back in Brinstar, something cool happens. That creepy hippo-faced statue on the right wall suddenly crumbles apart, revealing a hidden room behind it. Pretty neat environmental storytelling there. Watch out for that zoomer crawling out of the opening. I don't think it knocked the wall down by itself, but you never know. Head inside to find another Chozo statue waiting patiently. Jump on those outstretched hands to get a map reveal showing exactly where the high jump boots are located, deeper down in Norfair. On your way back to Norfair's elevator, grab that missile tank in the shaft outside, the lift that leads down to Kraid's area. Easy pickup while you're passing by. Here's one for the lore enthusiasts. What year does Zero Mission take place according to the game's cosmic calendar system? Test your boss knowledge. Name the robotic version of Ridley that Samus faces in the Space Pirate Mothership. Back down in Norfair, save your game before heading into that large lava cavern next to the save room. This is where the speed booster really starts to shine. Make your way to the right side of the room and shoot the door open, then run back as far left as you can. Can you guess what planet the Metroid samples originally came from before the space pirates stole them? Here's a backstory question. What's the name of Samus's destroyed home colony that's shown in the unlockable gallery? Now here's the fun part. Dash to the right to build up that speed booster charge. You'll blast into the tall green shaft and smash through multiple floors of speed booster blocks like they're made of paper. So satisfying. Descend partway down the shaft and head left through the first door. Clear out the enemies in this long corridor and use all that space to build up another speed booster charge. Dash back into the shaft and you'll break through another floor of blocks. Check your map. The high jump boots are really close now. Descend until you see a door opposite a missile tank, then head inside. Cross the corridor, watch out for those enemies, and blast through the red door to find the high jump boots snugly waiting inside. This upgrade is a total game changer. Not only can Samus jump way higher than before, but you can also do spring jumps while in Morph Ball mode. It opens up so many new traversal options. Backtrack to that tall green shaft and use your new jumping ability to clear that tall wall and grab the missile tank you saw earlier. Now continue descending as far as you can go. You'll pass 3 doors on your way down. Ignore the bottom one for now, since there's a Kiru Guru blocking your path in that corridor. Instead, climb up to the door above and head inside. You'll find yourself in a tall shaft with another Chozo statue. Jump on to get another wrap reveal, this time showing exactly where the Varia suit is located. High up in Brinstar's northern area. Exit through the upper door. And here's a neat secret. In that small alcove, walk over to the right wall to find a hidden Morph Ball launcher. Use it to blast through the speed booster block floors above and escape from the shaft. Time to head back to Brinstar for that Varia suit. On your way up, you can grab some optional items if you're feeling adventurous. There's a super missile upgrade that's pretty tricky to get and another missile tank along the route. Let's see if you know your review scores. What did the gaming magazine Famitsu give Zero Mission out of 40? Here's one for the critics. Which gaming publication called Zero Mission one of the most ambitious, comprehensive, and successful remakes? Ascend to the very top of the second tall shaft. That's the first one you enter when coming from Norfair. At the top, head right into this familiar green corridor. Jump over those tall cylinders along the way. Pro tip: shoot their red cores to raise them up and make jumping easier. Eventually you'll find several horizontal gray pipes. Roll through one of them to discover this weird purple ball blocking your path. Here's the thing, you can't damage this obstacle at all. Your shots just seem to irritate it, but there's a hidden tunnel up in the wall above that lets you bypass it entirely. In the next room, you're getting close to the Varia suit. Blast that waver enemy and shoot up at the ceiling to find a breakable section. Jump up to discover a tall shaft heading skyward. Your target is a ledge on the left wall, but here's where it gets tricky. There are fake and crumbling blocks against that wall. You'll need to jump from the edge of the solid blocks in the center of the room. Here's how to figure out where the fake blocks are. Shoot downward and your shots will pass right through the fake ones. Time your jump from the last solid block, and thanks to those high jump boots, you should make it easily. Shoot up through the platform above to climb the door while dodging wavers. In the next corridor, you'll encounter two more of those purple ball creatures blocking your path. But watch this. A swarm of tiny parasites begins attacking the balls, slowly consuming them. It's like nature's cleanup crew. Once both balls are gone, return the favor by laying bombs on the parasites before they decide Samus looks tasty. Navigate through this acid-filled corridor using the complex platform layout. Pro tip: hold the jump button while in morph ball mode to continuously spring jump whenever you land. This makes traversing these areas so much smoother. Release the next group of parasites to clear out another purple ball, then blast through the red door to finally find that Varia suit. This is one of the most important upgrades in the game. Now you can walk through acid without taking any damage, and you'll be able to survive the superheated zones of Norfair that were previously inaccessible. The Varia suit basically doubles your survivability. On your way back down, make sure to grab that energy tank. With the Varia suit equipped, you can now access areas that were previously too dangerous to explore. The Varia suit opens up a whole new section of Norfair that we couldn't reach before, so we'll definitely be heading back there soon to continue our adventure. Can you name the award Zero Mission won at the 8th Annual Interactive Achievement Awards? Back in that lower corridor, head right to save your game, then continue right past the save room into another long hallway. You'll spot a missile tank sitting on top of a pillar. Grab it as you pass by. At the very end of this corridor, there's a tall cylinder covering a small alcove filled with parasites. Inside that alcove, you'll find a gray pipe in the wall, but if you explore that tunnel, you'll hit a dead end with a Chozo statue blocking your path, so you'll need to get creative here. Here's the trick. Go back to where the parasites were and let them all attach to Samus. Don't worry, they won't bite. Now head back to where you found that missile tank and take a dip in the acid below. You'll discover a hidden underwater tunnel down there. Another one of those large purple balls is blocking the way. But here's where those parasites come in handy. Touch the ball and wait for all the parasites to latch onto it and devour it completely. Once they're done, roll through the gray pipe ahead. Jump up out of the acid in the next corridor and hop onto the Chozo statue's hands. This will show you exactly where the wave beam is located. Once again, deep in the depths of Norfair, trek right through this corridor and descend the shaft. Time to make our way back down to Norfair. Along the way, grab the missile tank for some extra firepower. Quick question. What ranking did Nintendo Power give Zero Mission when they listed the best Nintendo games in 2006? Here's a bit of a nerdy one. What unused boss from Super Metroid had the sprites hidden in Zero Mission's game data? Back in Norfair, head over to that tall green shaft on the eastern side. Ascend the shaft and go left at the top to find a missile tank in the superheated corridor. The Varia suit makes these areas so much more manageable. With that missile in hand, head back down to the lava cavern next to the shaft and use that open space to build up your speed booster charge. Break through those speed booster blocks in the shaft floor and head left. Cross the corridor and use a super missile to blast open the green door at the end. Beyond here, you'll find another missile tank and a super missile upgrade. Just watch out for those dragons breathing fire from the lava. They're pretty aggressive. Here's a neat time-saving trick. Once you grab that super missile, exit the room and re-enter to restore the bomb block above. Then use that flat space to build up speed booster charge and shine spark through the previous corridor. It's way faster than walking. Back in the corridor next to the eastern green shaft, build up that speed booster again and smash through the floor. Descend the shaft and return to the high jump boots room. Roll under the statue and through that narrow tunnel in the left wall. The next small room requires some wall jumping skills, so practice those techniques. In the giant heated cavern beyond, you'll need to clear away all the scattered blocks on the floor to make a clear path for speed boosting. Take out all the enemies, then head back to the door, run up the slope to the left and jump at the cliff to smash through that wall of speed booster blocks ahead. Can you guess the secret button combination you press at the start menu to unlock the time attack mode? Test your connectivity knowledge. Linking Zero Mission with which other GBA Metroid game unlocks a special gallery. In the next corridor, there's a nasty large side hopper waiting to ambush you. Hit it with missiles or super missiles to clear it out quickly. There's a save room ahead, which you'll definitely want to use. The next room is actually part of a tall shaft that's broken up into smaller chambers. The screw attack is up there, but we'll grab it later to save time. Head left through the heated corridor to find a shaft leading down. Blast through the red door at the bottom to access the map room. You'll quickly see that there's tons more area to explore down here. Go back outside and here's something cool. Jump into that lava below, it won't hurt you, and you'll discover that it's completely fake. There's another hidden shaft underneath. Here's a tricky technical detail. In hard mode, how much energy do energy tanks add instead of the normal 100? Descend this shaft and head right at the bottom. Cross down the large cavern to reach a small room where you can break through the floor and descend another hidden shaft. Can you name the medical TV drama where Zero Mission makes a cameo appearance? Bonus points if you know the episode title. Down here, you'll find 2 more missile tanks waiting for you. With both missiles collected, go back up and head right, cross the next corridor while blasting away all that weird vegetation. Here's one for the Nintendo Direct fans. Zero Mission's Nintendo Switch Online release was announced alongside the trailer for which upcoming Metroid game? Some enemies are actually caught up in those vines. Quick question, what happened to Zero Mission's eShop sales after Metroid Dread was announced in 2021? In the next small room, shoot through the floor near the left door and drop into more fake lava. Head left and clear out another large side hopper in the corridor. Take the left door at the end to finally locate the wave beam. This is such a crucial upgrade. It lets your shots pass through walls and hit multiple enemies, practically vital for what's coming up. Time to head down to the southeastern part of Norfair to find access to Ridley's lair. Backtrack up to the corridors above. Try out that wave beam on that large side hopper. It's super effective. Then head right to find another save room. Let's test your series knowledge. How many official remakes are there in the entire Metroid series, not counting remasters? Boss battle. Kuru Girus, the twin larvae, cross through the heated corridor and run through the open floor to build up your speed booster charge. There's a wall ahead you'll need to smash through. Enter the next corridor and you'll face an unusual sight, the lair of two Kiru Gurus, those huge larvae creatures blocking your path. The door seals behind you, so there's no escape until they're defeated. Boss strategy. Target their heads, that's their weak spot. Use missiles and super missiles for maximum damage. Jump over their lunging attacks. Now watch out for spitting projectiles. Take them out one at a time to avoid being overwhelmed. Use the corridor space to maintain distance. Here's one for the ranking enthusiasts. In 2020, IGN named Zero Mission as what number on their list of the greatest video game remakes? Alright, can you name the 1986 Japan-only gamebook that Zero Mission reused story elements from? This one's for the deep lore fans. With both larvae cooked, grab that energy tank before leaving. Run to the left side of the corridor and build up your speed booster charge again. Beyond the door, you'll find yourself back in the giant green shaft, and you'll break through the floor to clear a path to the door below and another missile tank. Travel through that door and save your game in the room beyond. Cross the next corridor while clearing out more vegetation and trapped enemies. Boss battle. Ensnared Kiru Guru. You'll face one more challenge before accessing Ridley's area. The next room houses the ensnared Kiru Guru. This huge creature looks just like Spore Spawn from Super Metroid, and it even has a remix of that boss theme. Boss strategy. Stay mobile and avoid its swinging attacks. Target the main body when it's exposed. Use super missiles for heavy damage. Jump and duck to avoid projectile attacks. Watch for pattern changes as it takes damage. The battle ends when it crashes the floor. Once this creature crashes down and creates a hole in the floor, drop through and head right. You'll find the elevator that descends deep into Ridley's domain. As you ride the elevator down, check out this dramatic cutscene. Ridley's landing that massive spaceship on Zebes' surface before heading to his lair. Looks like he knows you're coming and he's ready for a fight.
Welcome to Ridley's Lair. Alright bounty hunters, we've made it to one of the most iconic areas in Zero Mission, Ridley's domain. Notice how this place perfectly blends the classic original Metroid layout with those gorgeous Super Nintendo visual vibes. Pretty nostalgic stuff right there. As you drop off the elevator, you'll see doors below you. Skip the right door, there's nothing exciting that way. Instead, head left and save your game in the next room. Trust me, you'll want that checkpoint. The green door dilemma. Here's where things get interesting. you'll hit a green door that absolutely requires super missiles to open. If you've been following along with our series, you should already have some super missiles ready to blast this thing open, but if you're going for that perfect 100% completion or just missed them earlier, don't panic. We need to grab the super missile upgrade nearby first. Time for a little backtracking adventure. Head up to Norfair and return to the room where you originally battled this beast. You'll immediately notice that there's now a gaping hole in the floor where it crashed through. Follow that tunnel down and you'll drop right back into Ridley's area. You'll land into the remains of the creature's cocoon, but notice our bug friend is nowhere to be found. Head through the opening in the left wall and you'll drop through this huge open chamber. Boss battle, Imago. Walk toward the left side while clearing out those creepy bug eggs scattered around. As soon as you get the super missile hidden in the wall, that epic boss music kicks in and here comes Imago. Think giant wasp with way too many eyes and a serious attitude problem. Boss battle strategy. Target the stinger first. It's your main priority. Use charged shots to deal maximum damage. Watch out for its diving attacks and stay mobile. Missiles work great once you weakened it. Keep your distance when it starts thrashing around. Alright, now that you've defeated Imago, we'll be navigating the lower areas. With Imago defeated and that super missile in your arsenal, let's head back to that green door we couldn't open earlier. Blast it open and continue left into this long corridor packed with enemies. Here's a pro tip that'll save you tons of time. Bomb the floor near that first pillar you see. There's actually a hidden tunnel underneath the entire floor that lets you sneak past all those enemies. Perfect for speedrunners or anyone who just wants to avoid the chaos up top. Onto the energy tank and tricky platforming. In the next narrow room, you'll find an energy tank just sitting there, but don't rush in blindly. See those blocks covering a hole in the center? Some of them are fake. Fire some missiles at the floor to reveal which blocks are solid. Stand on the fourth block from the door and make your jump from there. That'll get you across to grab the energy tank. Head left through the next corridor and watch out for that center enclosure. Use your wave beam to clear out any hidden enemies lurking in there, the massive shaft and map room. You'll come to this enormous vertical shaft dropping way down below. Descend carefully and save your game through the left door at the bottom. The right door just leads back to the previous energy tank room, so don't waste your time. Drop through the narrow crevice in the floor and keep going down. You'll snag a missile tank along the way, and once you reach the bottom, head right to find the map room. Download that data. You're going to need it for navigation. The longest corridor in the game. Now from the map room, head right and prepare yourself for what might be the longest horizontal corridor in the entire game. No joke, this thing goes on forever. Before you commit to this marathon run, you can backtrack to grab a couple more missile tanks if you want, but once you're ready for the long haul, stick to the roof sections to bypass most of the enemies below. About partway through, you'll spot another missile tank sitting on top of a pillar, definitely worth the quick detour. When you finally reach the end of this seemingly endless corridor, there's a save room waiting for you. Use it. The final approach. Beyond the save point, you'll find another tall shaft leading upward. Climb up and enter the second door on the left about halfway up. Watch out for those fireball enemies crawling around the platforms. They're more annoying than dangerous, but they're still worth avoiding. The empty lair mystery. With all that new ammunition weighing you down, return to the room with the hole and drop down below. Save your game in the save room to the left. Seriously, you'll want to do it now. You'll enter this large open room and head over to the left side where you'll encounter a monster door guarding the entrance. These things shoot energy projectiles, but they're not too tough. Once it's destroyed, open the door and step into what should be Ridley's lair. But wait, it's completely empty. Check your map, you're definitely in the right place, but our purple dragon friend is nowhere to be seen. The only thing you can do is head through the door on the far left side of the room. In this next corridor, you'll discover the final unknown item of the area, plus an energy tank hidden behind the left wall. If you're running low on health or ammunition, don't worry, these handy statues will refill everything you need. Now head back into that empty room. And surprise, Ridley has decided to make his dramatic entrance. Onto the Ridley boss battle. Stay mobile. Ridley covers a lot of ground very quickly. Target his head and chest for maximum damage. Watch for his tail swipe and fire breath attacks. Use super missiles when you have clear shots. Don't get cornered. Keep your escape routes open. Charged shots work well between his attack patterns. Alright, now that you've defeated Ripley, we're on to the post-battle cleanup. Once you've defeated Ripley, the game will transport you back to that gold statue room, where Ridley's portion of the statue will light up. One final scream and explosion later, and you're free to leave this underground nightmare. Head back to the save room and use one of those flying bugs emerging from the pipe as a stepping stone to reach the hidden tunnel above. Save your game again and we'll grab a few more items on the way out. Head right past the save room and continue right in the next shaft while holding the right direction to charge up your speed booster. In the purple corridor ahead, you'll blast through the wall at the far end, plowing through a group of enemies. Collect all the items as they drop. Free loot is always nice. The final item collection. The following green corridor contains another energy tank. Bomb through the floor near the raised platform to expose a hidden tunnel underneath. That's where you'll find it. Continue right until you're back in the shaft from earlier. Climb up to the top and head left into this massive lava cavern. Use those flying bugs popping out of the pipe to reach one final missile tank in the top right corner. Make your way to the left side of this large room, past all those swooping enemies to what looks like a dead end. Shoot out the block in the floor against the wall with a missile and bomb your way way down through the hidden tunnel. Drop into the room below and head left. Congratulations, you've just completed a full counterclockwise loop of Ridley's area. You're now back at the elevator shaft that leads up to Norfair. Jump on that lift and finally escape this palace. That wraps up our complete tour of Ridley's domain, from mysterious empty lairs to epic boss battles and everything in between. Alright bounty hunters, we're making our way back up through Norfair, and there's one absolutely essential upgrade we need to grab: the legendary screw attack. As you head back up, you'll notice that wall with the 2 statue heads on the right side has crumbled away, revealing a new opening. Head inside and you'll find the remains of a broken Chozo statue. This poor guy would have been pointing you toward Tourian, and climb into the small alcove ahead. Shoot down through the floor and drop below this hallway that stretches to the left. Start running left without letting go of that directional button. Here's where things get really cool. You'll actually run through a tube that goes behind the elevator shaft and through the tunnel that Imago created earlier, covering a morph ball launcher in the corner. Jump in, drop a bomb, and you'll be launched up through that familiar segmented shaft you've traveled through before. When you hit the ceiling at the top, into this tunnel packed with flying enemies zooming back and forth, you'll see a missile tank sitting in the alcove in the center, but you can't break through to it yet. You'll need the screw attack first. Freeze those flying pests and break through the red door at the end. And there it is, the screw attack, waiting for you in all its spinning glory. With your new spinning power, head back to the previous corridor and clear out all those flying enemies like they're nothing. Now you can grab that missile tank we couldn't reach before. Drop back down through that segmented shaft, head right, and save your game. From here, it's time to backtrack to the Brinstar elevator for our trip to the final area. Now back over to Brinstar. If you've been following along our walkthrough series, you should be absolutely loaded with upgrades and ready to face whatever's coming next. Use that screw attack liberally. It clears out waves of enemies and saves tons of time. When you reach that green shaft on Norfair's eastern side, you'll see speed booster blocks blocking your path upward. Here's the trick. Look around both floors and you'll find screw attack blocks hidden in the terrain. Break through these to easily bypass those speed booster barriers.
Back in 2004, something magical happened in the world of handheld gaming. Picture this: you're walking through the electronics section of your local store, Game Boy Advance in hand, when you spot that distinctive orange and blue box art. Metroid Zero Mission wasn't just another sequel, it was Nintendo's love letter to their own legacy, a chance to revisit where it all began, but with 2 decades of wisdom behind them. Can you believe we lived through the era when developers would completely rebuild their classics from the ground up? These weren't lazy ports or simple HD remasters. This was Yoshio Sakamoto, the only surviving member of the original 1986 Metroid team, saying, "Let me show you how this story was always meant to be told." Remember when remakes actually added entire new chapters? Those were the times when a remake meant more than just prettier graphics. Metroid Zero Mission took the bold step of continuing the story past Mother Brain's defeat, something that would have blown our minds back in 1986. After you think you've beaten the game, Samus's ship gets shot down, her power suit is destroyed, and suddenly you're crawling through air ducts in that iconic blue Zero suit. This was in 2004, mind you, 3 years before Super Smash Bros. Brawl would make Zero Suit Samus a household name. Nintendo was pioneering the idea that Samus could be vulnerable, human, and still incredibly compelling. That emergency pistol, the Paralyzer, with its pink stun effect. It felt like playing a completely different type of game within the same adventure. Back in the day, we were obsessed with connecting our games. Remember those clunky Game Boy Advance link cables? Zero Mission tapped into that perfectly. Connect it to Metroid Fusion and boom, you'd unlock a secret gallery showing Samus's tragic backstory, including the destruction of her home colony K2L. These weren't just Easter eggs. They were pieces of a larger puzzle that Nintendo was building across multiple games. The developers originally planned to connect Zero Mission with Metroid Prime 2 Echoes on the GameCube, just like Fusion had connected with the original Metroid Prime. Can you imagine the possibilities we lost there? That's the kind of ambitious connectivity that defined the mid-2000s Nintendo, always trying to make your entire game library feel interconnected. Let's travel back to those magazine racks and early gaming websites. Game Rankings gave it a 90.19% average. That's the kind of score that made you circle the release date on your calendar. Metacritic landed on 89 out of 100 with phrases like generally favorable reviews, filling those early internet review aggregators. But here's what really captures the era. Nintendo World Report called it a masterpiece and the perfect example of a Metroid game. Game Informer gave it a stunning 9.5 out of 10 and said fans would absolutely adore it, even calling it one of the greatest games in history. These weren't just reviews, that remakes could be genuine artistic achievements. X-Play, does anybody remember that TV show? Said it was perfect for blasting space pirates on the go. That phrase perfectly encapsulates 2004. We were amazed that console quality experiences could fit in our pockets, and reviewers were still marveling at the concept of truly portable gaming. The most common complaint was its length. IGN said it looks and sounds and plays absolutely wonderfully, but said it was too short and too easy. GameSpot was disappointed with the length, but admitted they were compelled to complete the game in a few sittings because it was so captivating. This criticism feels almost quaint now, doesn't it? In 2004, we expected our $30 games to last dozens of hours. The idea that a perfectly crafted 6 to 8 hour experience could be completed unto itself was still foreign to many reviewers. They were judging by different standards, quantity over focused quality that we'd later learn to appreciate. Yoshio Sakamoto wasn't just Zero Mission's director, he was its living memory. As the sole survivor from the original Metroid team, he carried 18 years of series evolution in his head. This man had worked on every single Metroid game except for Metroid 2, and now he was tasked with rebuilding his own legacy. In interviews, Sakamoto revealed his true motivation. After Fusion's linear structure, he wanted to show newcomers the roots of the Metroid franchise, what Metroid gameplay was really about. This wasn't ego, this was preservation of a craft that was already becoming rare in 2004's increasingly cinematic gaming landscape. Nintendo Research and Development 1 was the company's experimental wing, and by 2004, they were masters of portable innovation. The team included composer Kenji Yamamoto, who had to recreate those iconic Brinstar and Norfair themes for a new generation while keeping the essential character style intact. Artists like Hiroji Kiyotaki brought that distinctive comic book art style that the reviewers mentioned, not quite as realistic as Prime, but more detailed than Super Metroid. They were really threading the needle between nostalgia and modern, creating visuals that honored the past while embracing the GBA's capabilities. Remember when choosing your difficulty at the start of a Metroid game was genuinely shocking? Zero Mission was the first in the series to offer this option, and it felt like breaking sacred tradition. Easy, normal, and hard modes with actual gameplay differences, not just damage multipliers, but completely different enemy placements and upgrade effectiveness. This was Nintendo acknowledging that their audience had grown up. Some of us were busy adults who now needed their easier setting to experience the story, while others were hardcore fans ready for the challenge of hard modes, double damage, and reduced upgrade effectiveness. Zero Mission launched into what we now recognize as the Game Boy Advance's golden period. February of 2004, it became the month's best-selling GBA game and the third best-selling game game across all systems. Think about that context. It was competing with console quality games and winning. The GBA felt like magic in 2004. SNES quality games in your pocket, backlit screens finally becoming standard, and a library that was hitting its creative stride. Zero Mission represented everything great about that era. It was ambitious, beautiful, and proved that handheld games didn't have to be simplified console experiences. Zero Mission represents something we rarely see today, a complete creative do-over with unlimited time and resources. Sakamoto and his team weren't rushing to meet a movie tie-in deadline or satisfying focus group demands. They were crafting their definitive statement about what Metroid should be. The attention to detail was staggering. Those 4 different cutscenes that change color based on whether you have the various suit, the way the Chozo Ruins test sequence builds the lore, the seamless integration of new areas like Chozodia into the classic progression. This was world-class game design disguised as a simple remake. When Nintendo announced Zero Mission for the Nintendo Switch Online in 2024, sales of the Wii U Virtual Console version immediately spiked. 20 years later, people were still discovering or rediscovering why this game mattered. It proved that sometimes the best way forward is to perfect what came before. In our current era of remasters and reboots, Zero Mission stands as a masterclass in how to honor source material while fearlessly expanding it. It didn't just update graphics and call it finished. It completed thoughts that the original game could only hint at due to technical limitations. Looking back, Zero Mission feels like gaming's equivalent of a deluxe reissue of a classic album. The same beloved songs you remember, but with unreleased tracks, clearer sound, and linear notes that finally explain what the artists were thinking all along. That's the magic we lived through in 2004, when developers still believed that going backward could be the most innovative thing you could possibly do.
The Gold Statue Room opens. Now once you're back in Brinstar, make your way to the Gold Statue Room in the northwestern area. If you check your map, you'll notice what looks like 2 small flames hovering over in this room. That's your destination.
But the team's biggest creative risk was still ahead of them. During the middle stages of development, they faced a crucial decision. Where does the story end? The original Metroid concluded with Mother Brain's destruction and Samus's escape. Roll credits, done. But then something happened that would define Zero Mission's legacy. Someone, and we can imagine it was Sakamoto himself, asked the question that changed everything. What if the story didn't end there? This is where things got really interesting creatively. The team was sitting on 18 years of Metroid lore that had been built up through subsequent games. They knew Samus's backstory with the Chozo. They understood her relationship with Zebes as more than just another planet. It was her childhood home. They had all this narrative material that the original game could only hint at. The Zero Suit sequence wasn't just about extending the game's length, it was about vulnerability in a way that the Metroid series had never explored during gameplay. Sure, we've seen Samus without her armor in ending sequences, but this was different. This was reward, not challenge. Here's how this actually worked from a design perspective. They had to create an entirely different gameplay paradigm within the same engine. Suddenly, Samus couldn't morph into a ball. She had to crawl on her hands and knees. She couldn't absorb missiles and energy tanks. She had to rely on stealth and timing. Her weapon couldn't destroy enemies, it could only stun them. The brilliant thing about this system was how it recontextualized everything players thought they knew about Metroid gameplay. You weren't an unstoppable bounty hunter anymore. You were a survivor trying to escape. The power fantasy was replaced by tension and careful planning.
When you enter the room, you'll get locked inside automatically. Walk over to that massive statue featuring Kraid's face. Watch as both sets of eyes flash before the enormous jaws open wide, revealing the path forward. Pretty dramatic stuff. Head through the opening and go left to find an elevator that will take you down to the final area. Tourian, Mother Brain's domain. Welcome to Tourian. As you descend, you'll get treated to another cutscene showing several Metroids feeding on a dead space pirate. These creatures really don't discriminate when it comes to their meals. The familiar haunting music of Tourian welcomes you to this mechanical maze. You can't descend the first shaft you encounter, so head right to find a save room. Seriously, you'll want to use it. You're gonna need every bit of health for what's coming. First Metroid encounters. Beyond the save point, you'll find a small chamber with a dead space pirate but no Metroids in sight yet. Continue right and descend the short shaft, watching out for those turret emplacements in the walls and floor. They fire circular projectiles that often drop useful items when destroyed. Head left at the bottom and you'll get locked in what appears to be an empty corridor. Walk forward and get ready. A Metroid will emerge from the background depths, and these things are no joke. Here's your Metroid combat strategy. Freeze it immediately before it can latch onto you. Then pump it full of 5 regular missiles or 1 super missile to destroy it. If a Metroid ever manages to grab you, quickly lay bombs to shake it off, then freeze it while it's recovering, navigating the Metroid gauntlet. Continue through the left door to find yourself back in the main shaft, but lower down. Keep your eyes peeled for 2 more Metroids lurking in the background. You can spot them as tiny creatures hovering around before they rush into the room. Descend carefully, taking out each Metroid one at a time. Don't let yourself get overwhelmed by fighting multiple Metroids simultaneously. Those red circular projectiles from the turrets can be really annoying since they'll fly between you and your target. Notice all those dead space pirates scattered around? Apparently Metroids consider them a delicacy. Take your time moving through the hallway, deal with each Metroid carefully, and try to avoid these persistent turret projectiles. The green circular ones move faster than the red ones, but drop items more frequently. The multi-level Metroid hunt. Enter the next large chamber and drop down through the opening. There's a Metroid waiting in the corner below, so be ready. You'll find a platform covering a hole. Shoot it out and drop down to discover a door on the right. The next room is a tall shaft going straight down with winding platforms throughout. More Metroids lurk in the shadows here, so proceed carefully. You definitely don't want multiple Metroids ganging up on you near the bottom.
But here's where the team faced their biggest challenge. How do you make vulnerability fun? This wasn't about just making the game harder. It was about creating a completely different emotional experience. The Paralyzer pistol, with its pink stun effect, wasn't just a gameplay mechanic. It was a storytelling device. Every stunned enemy was a reminder that Samus was operating on borrowed time. The Chozodia sequence served multiple narrative purposes. It connected Zero Mission to the broader Metroid mythology by exploring Samus's relationship with her adoptive Chozo parents. It provided a satisfying power curve by giving players the legendary fully upgraded power suit, and it introduced Mecha Ridley, possibly the first hint of the cybernetic resurrection technology that would later create Meta Ridley in the Prime series.
The layered corridor system. Head left at the bottom into what looks like a narrow, empty corridor. The doors will lock again, signaling more Metroid hunting time. Bomb the floor to reveal a huge opening with a second corridor below. Here's where it gets tricky. There are multiple Metroids waiting at either end of this lower corridor. Stay on the floating platforms and wait for a couple of Metroids to chase you. Jump back up to the upper corridor and lure them there before freezing and destroying them both. Clear out the remaining Metroids on the other side, then bomb the floor again to reveal yet another corridor below. This one's like a massive grave of dead pirates with 2 more Metroids lurking among their bodies. Use the same luring strategy. Bring them up to you and eliminate them safely to unlock the doors. Now exit through the left door to find your last save room before the big boss battle. I cannot stress this enough. Save your game right now. Head left into a long corridor filled with ceiling turrets. This is perfect for using your screw attack to destroy these circular projectiles and stock up on energy and ammunition before the final battle. Once you've refilled everything, go back and save again just to be safe. Mother Brain's lair. Blast open that red door at the left end of the corridor and you'll finally reach Mother Brain's domain. The familiar design from the original Metroid will make you feel right at home, as if home was a terrifying mechanical hellscape. You'll face a barrage of turrets firing circles in every direction, plus smaller turrets shooting laser beams. Large glass tubes block your path to Mother Brain herself. Fill these tubes with super missiles or missiles to destroy them, but keep firing constantly. Boss battle, Mother Brain. The ultimate showdown is here. Mother Brain, the mechanical mastermind behind all the chaos in Zeebs. This massive brain in a jar controls everything, and it's time to shut her down permanently. Mother Brain strategy. Focus fire on the brain itself inside the glass chamber. Use super missiles for maximum damage per shot. Stay mobile to avoid the constant turret fire. Watch out for the laser turrets on either side. Keep your missile count high. You'll need the sustained firepower. Use the terrain shield to protect yourself from projectiles. Now don't get trapped in one position for too long. Alright, now with Mother Brain down, we're on to the Great Escape. Once Mother Brain explodes along with her turrets, the game gives you an urgent message. You have exactly 2 minutes to escape before the entire facility self-destructs. On hard mode, you only get 1 minute, so every second counts. That frantic alarm and music should be all the motivation you need. Head through the door beyond Mother Brain's remains and you'll find a massive vertical shaft filled with floating blocks and platforms. Climb as fast as you can to avoid falling down at all costs. Watch out, those single blocks will start crumbling as soon as you step on them, so keep moving. At the top, an elevator awaits to take you up to Crateria, onto the final sprint to freedom. Now for the ultimate speed run to your ship. Go right and climb the rocky shaft, while explosions rock the screen around you. At the top, shoot through the walls blocking your path and frantically jump over the debris to reach the right side of the corridor. Once you reach the edge of a raised platform, there's a door ahead. Start running right from here and shoot that door open. You'll emerge back at the landing site where your ship is waiting. But there's one final obstacle, a wall covered in speed booster blocks. Keep that momentum going. The speed booster will charge up and you'll smash right through that wall. Jump on the top of your ship and watch as Samus escapes from the doomed planet just in the nick of time. Congratulations, you've successfully completed the main story of Metroid Zero Mission. But wait, is that really the end? Those of you familiar with this game know there might be a little more adventure waiting ahead.
Zero Suit Samus, the plot twist begins. Holy plot twist, Batman. Just when you thought the game was over, Zero Mission pulls the rug out from under you in the most spectacular way possible. You've just watched Samus escape from Zeebs, removing her iconic power suit to reveal the woman underneath. And suddenly, bam! Space pirate scout ships surround her vessel and open fire. Watch as Samus tries to evade her pursuers, but then takes a critical hit from an unknown attacker. With no other options, she crash lands on planet Zeeb's surface, losing both her ship and her power suit in the process. Talk about going from hero to zero in record time. Now you'll see Samus surveying that massive purple space pirate mothership that Ridley arrived in earlier. This is it. The game just became a stealth mission, and you're about to experience something completely unique in Metroid history. Welcome to Chozodia Stealth Mode activated. When control returns to you, everything has changed. Samus is now wearing just a blue bodysuit. Thankfully, she keeps all those energy tanks you've collected, and her only weapon is this tiny emergency pistol that looks like it came from a toy store. You're in a new area called Chozodia with rain pouring down around you. This is why Zero Mission is more than just a remake, folks. This entire section is completely original content. The stealth challenge begins. After a brief cutscene showing a mysterious green mechanical eye opening, you'll find yourself in the ship's first tunnel. Make your way to the map room first. Download that data because this mothership is an absolute maze of interconnected rooms and corridors. Head left to find a save room. But notice something different? These save stations not only preserve your progress, but also fully restore your health and ammo. You're going to need every bit of health you can get. Here's where the game becomes part Metroid, part Splinter Cell. Exit through the small tunnel above the left door and you'll spot your first Zebestian guard below. This is crucial. If these guys spot you, they'll trigger an alarm that brings reinforcements, and your little pistol can only stun them temporarily, not destroy them, mastering the stealth mechanics. Unfortunately, you can't avoid being spotted by this first guard. It's scripted. Navigating the laser grid. Beyond the next shutter, you'll encounter one of the mothership's security systems, green laser tripwires. Touch these and the alarm goes off immediately, so you'll need to carefully navigate around them. Head right and crawl through the narrow tunnel you'll find. This area is covered in destructible blocks that your pistol can shoot through. Here's the timing. Shoot the blocks and immediately hold right because the ground will collapse under Samus. You'll crash down into a tripwire, setting off the alarm, rush through the corridor, and climb the shaft ahead. Shoot out the small block covering in the narrow tunnel, and push through to find yourself in a tall shaft with a shutter blocking your path. Walk up to it, and you'll fall through a false door. Quickly stun the Zebesian at the bottom. Stay completely still. A Zebesian will run into the room, look around, and then leave when he doesn't see any movement. The alarm turns off and the shutter opens. Finding your exit strategy. Jump up through the opening in the ceiling to find yourself below the hangar bay where a squadron of scout ships are parked. These ships are your ticket off this floating fortress. Crawl through the narrow tunnel beneath the floor to enter an oddly shaped shaft. Drop through the crumbling blocks and head to the door behind you for another save room. Though fair warning, you can't access this one on hard mode. Advanced stealth navigation. In the next shaft, your path is blocked by a red door, so shoot through those crumbling blocks near the right door instead. Watch out for the ambush on the left below. Stun him quickly and crawl through the tunnel on the right. Now blast your way down through the next shaft by destroying the crumbled looking blocks. Near the bottom, be ready for more Zebesians below. Then head for that door in the bottom left corner. You'll enter what looks like a tiny dead end, but run forward immediately. The floor will crumble and drop you into a small alcove that's blocked by a shutter. The pirates think you've vanished again and lower the security level, opening your makeshift prison, the Searchlight Gauntlet. Head left to find yourself at the base of a tall shaft filled with wandering searchlights. These work exactly like you'd expect. Touch one and Zebesians come running from every direction. Carefully ascend the shaft while watching the patrol patterns of the lights. Timing is everything here. At the very top, go right to re-enter a shaft you've been in before, then head up and left through the door above. Break through the destructible walls in the next room to discover another save room. Thankfully, you can access this one even on hard mode. The final laser maze. After head left into a huge room filled with an assortment of laser tripwires arranged in complex patterns. This is like the ultimate test of your platforming skills. Spin jump up the wall ahead and climb on top of it. Jump down onto the laser's tripwires mounting block, then leap across to the next purple platform. Watch out, that flat floating platform ahead will crumble when you step on it, so move fast. Try to jump over to the top of the next vertical laser tripwire. Don't worry if you accidentally trigger it. Just quickly zip over to the door on the left side and get inside. The hidden shortcut. In the next chamber, you'll find a shaft leading down with a tunnel below that leads to a Zebesian-filled area. But here's a pro tip that will save you tons of trouble. Instead of going down there, spin jump up the left wall to discover a hidden opening in the corner. Drop down the secret tunnel and descend the shaft. As you fall, you'll see rain pouring from outside before landing safely in a glass tube corridor. This completely bypasses that dangerous Zebesian-filled shaft and sets you up for the next phase of your infiltration. Cross the glass tunnel and proceed through this small chamber ahead. Your surroundings are about to change dramatically as you get deeper into the heart of this alien vessel. The stealth continues, but you're making real progress towards finding a way off the ship and getting back into the fight. The Chozo Ruins and Power Suit Recovery Script. Entering the Chozo Ruins. Welcome to Chozo Ruins, bounty hunters. You've just entered this massive temple structure in the western part of Chozodia. Cross the room adjacent to the save room and you'll encounter another massive chamber filled with security spotlights. You could try climbing the platforms to reach that upper right door. If you accidentally trigger an alarm, here's the strategy. Just run. Don't try to hide or fight. Speed is your friend. Descend the next shaft, go right, trek through the corridor while shooting out blocks below each section if you're being chased. Then climb the shaft at the far end, the laser eye gauntlet. In the next room, your path might be blocked by a shutter if you're being pursued. If that happens, you'll need to stun the incoming Zebesian and backtrack to a safer area. This is why stealth is so crucial in this section. Once the shutter opens, head left and ascend the next shaft before going right. You'll find yourself in a tall shaft with a nasty twist. Small mechanical eyes moving up and down the left wall that emit alarm beams across the entire shaft. Touch one of these beams and not only do Zebesians come running, but those eyes will also fire projectiles at you. At the top of the shaft, head left to find a corridor where Zebesians patrol a thin platform below. Your only way forward is through the narrow tunnel above this platform, so crawl in and go left. As soon as you touch the platform, these blocks will start slowly crumbling beneath you. You definitely don't want to fall into the waiting arms of those Zebesians below. Keep crawling quickly and shoot out the 3 blocks blocking your path. Walk over to the small platform ahead and you'll fall through, dropping down a long shaft. Unfortunately, a Zebesian hiding in the right wall will spot you and trigger the alarm. Just fall to the bottom and run to the next room on the left. Advanced stealth techniques. Now don't bother hiding in the alcove shadows of the next room. Just keep moving. If you do hide there, a Zebesian will enter the left room before coming back through a narrow tunnel right in front of your hiding spot. In the next room, you'll hit what looks like a dead end with a door above the one you just entered through. Zip up to the next shaft at the top. You'll see something interesting, a strange statue holding a power bomb. Unfortunately, you can't reach it from here, so keep that location in mind for later. Run into the next room and you'll find yourself trapped in a closed off alcove. Press against the wall to fall through crumbling blocks below. Now you're finally safe from those persistent Zebesians. Climb up the shaft and the shutter blocking your way will now open. Notice how a door appears in the left wall behind you, leading to the save room? Definitely use this, especially if you're playing on hard mode. Walk into the next room to find that statue from before, but the power bomb is gone. Look up and you'll spot a sneaky Zebesian walking away with your prize. You won't get that power bomb until later, so follow the thief to the right for now. The multi-level stealth section. Descend the next shaft very carefully to avoid those laser beams moving up and down. Remember to stay in the blue alcoves to remain hidden from detection. At the bottom, crawl through the narrow tunnel to find another shaft leading upward, also patrolled by a laser eye. Take your time and watch the movements of the single laser carefully as you ascend. At the top, go right to face one of the trickiest stealth challenges in the entire game. A long corridor filled with multiple patrolling Zebesians. Here's your step-by-step approach. The first pirate runs back and forth on a floating platform just ahead. Move very slowly to the right until you can see the edge of the platform. Then wait for the creature to turn its back and move to the right before running out and passing underneath. For the second Zebesian on the next platform, you need to coordinate timing with both guards. Wait for the Zebesian above you to walk to the left side of his platform while the second one moves to the right side of the next platform. When both have their backs turned, quickly crawl under the next platform. The third Zebesian walks along the floor so you'll need to jump up onto the floating platform above to avoid detection. The final approach. Crawl through the darkened tunnel where the two Zebesians hang out in small alcoves above, then head through the left door at the end. Climb the empty shaft and go left. Now walk down the narrow corridor to discover a huge chamber with your exit in the top right corner. Jump over the gap on the right end and past the open shutter to locate another save room. You can finally breathe, a sign of relief. The hide and seek game is over. Now save your game here before moving on. The Chozo Memorial. Now head right and notice the sudden change in atmosphere. The dangerous tense music shifts to a small, heavenly tune. You can't enter the watery section for now, so climb up the narrow shaft ahead, cross the empty corridor at the top, and go through that open door. You're about to discover what the Chozo have left behind here, the legendary cutscene. Upon entering this sacred chamber, you'll witness one of the most beautiful and emotional cutscenes in the entire Metroid series. Samus recalls her early memories of first visiting this place as a child. Watch as young Samus walks hand in hand with a Chozo elder, admiring a giant engraving of a Chozo warrior carved into the wall. This is where the Chozo first trained Samus after rescuing her from the ruins of the Earth colony where she lost her parents. The scene shows a young Samus's innocent face before returning to present-day Samus, who looks up with extreme determination. She's standing before that huge engraving suit by paintings resembling a Chozo warrior in armor that bears a strong resemblance to her power suit. Boss battle, Chozo Ghost. The four small orbs surrounding the statue suddenly grow and fire blue energy bolts into the rounded mirror within the statue's grasp. As a test of strength and will, you must now battle the engraving itself. Chozo Ghost strategy. Target the glowing mirror in the center. That's your weak point. The ghost will teleport around the room, so stay mobile. Use charged shots for maximum damage. Watch for the ghost's energy projectile attacks. Duck under the sweeping beam attacks. 4 hits to the mirror will complete the test. Don't get concerned. Keep moving in circles. The ultimate reward. Alright, after striking the mirror with a 4th time, the blue apparition returns to the wall as the final orb locks into place. Walk to the center of the room and watch as the mirror image of Samus appears again. By this time, her image shimmers to reveal the most glorious sight in gaming, the legendary Varia suit. Energy now flows over Samus's body as the mirror fully restores her power suit. But it's even better than before. Not only do you get your suit back, but it's been upgraded to interface with all 3 unknown items that you collected earlier. The game reveals them as the Plasma Beam, Space Jump, and Gravity Suit. You get all 3 immediately. The game declares that you've recovered Samus's fully charged power suit. Those Chozo really know how to take care of their adopted daughter. Back in action, the triumphant Brinstar theme begins playing as you're finally back to full power. Give that space jump a try to reach the exit up on the right. Roll through the narrow tunnel and drop down through crumbling blocks as a massive column falls to seal the statue room forever. If you don't know what time it is, payback. The plasma beam works wonders against them, and the screw attack turns them into space dust. No more hiding from these creatures, now they hide from you. Back in business, time for payback. Alright bounty hunters, now that you're back to full power with that gorgeous upgraded suit, it's time to clean house. The tables have completely turned. Those Zebesians that were hunting you are now running scared from the legendary Samus Aran. First things first, let's grab some items in the ruins before we head back to deal with that mothership. Notice that there's only one way out of this chamber, through the water. Break through that missile block platform, covering the water access point, and take a dive. With the gravity suit, underwater movement is no longer a problem. You'll glide through the water like it's air. Underwater item hunt. Head to the right corner first to grab the super missile upgrade waiting there. This room also offers access to one of the trickiest items in the entire game. An energy tank up in the tall shaft beyond that requires some serious shine spark skills. We're talking expert level speed booster techniques here. so don't feel bad if you want to skip this one over for now. When you're ready, then continue left. You'll fall into that shaft where the laser alarms used to be. My, what a pain that was. Don't worry if you trip them down. You can handle whatever shows up. At the base of the shaft, head left and drop down to the lower door. Remember this room with the shutter that used to block your path? Blow through the door here to discover another super missile upgrade hidden below. Returning to the mothership, backtrack to the mothership in the same way you originally entered, and make sure to save along the way. Now let's talk about one of the most fascinating might-have-beens in Nintendo history. The team had grand ambitions for Zero Mission's connectivity features, and understanding what they had planned and what they had to abandon tells us a lot about Nintendo's vision for interconnected gaming in the mid-2000s. The GameCube Game Boy Advance connectivity was Nintendo's big bet for that generation. They'd already proven the concept worked with Metroid Fusion and the original Metroid Prime. Connect your GBA to the GameCube and suddenly you had cross-platform features that no other console manufacturer could match. Zero Mission was supposed to be the crown jewel of this system. The original plan called for connectivity with Metroid Prime 2 Echoes that would have gone far beyond simple unlockable galleries. We're talking about shared progression systems, bonus content that required both games, maybe even areas that we could only access through the connection. But then something happened that perfectly illustrates the realities of game development. Time. Sakamoto later revealed that they simply ran out of time, complicated by the fact that Zero Mission and Echoes had release windows that were way too far apart to make the connectivity compelling. This is where things got really challenging for the development team. They built their systems around this grand connectivity vision, and now they had to scale back their ambitions. What they managed to salvage was the fusion connection, that secret gallery showing Samus's backstory from K2L through her Chozo training. The brilliant thing about this compromise was how they made it feel essential rather than like a cut feature. The gallery wasn't just bonus content, it was crucial lore that helped players understand why Zero Mission's story mattered in the broader Metroid community. These images of young Samus with the Chozo weren't just pretty artwork, they were the missing link between the isolated bounty hunter of the games and the tragic backstory that motivated her. Here's a detail that shows their attention to the overall Metroid experience. They programmed the Nintendo Switch Online version to unlock this gallery by default, recognizing that most modern players wouldn't have access to both cartridges and a link cable. That kind of forward-thinking preservation is rare in the industry. The question Zero Mission leaves us with isn't just about Metroid, it's about the nature of creative work itself. When do you move forward? And when do you go back to perfect what you've already built? Nintendo found their answer in 2004, and 20 years later, we're still learning from their example. You'll want those power bombs fully recharged. As you make your way back through the long glass tunnel collecting the ruins to the ship, head back inside and ascend the tall shaft filled with Zebesians. Here is where you'll encounter some new enemies, black Zebesians that seem immune to your weapons at first, but don't panic, just pummel them hard with your beam until they explode. You'll also spot small floating orbs that release electricity. Only the screw attack can destroy these nasty things. Power bomb recovery mission. Make your way back to the nearest save room, then head right through the small chamber to find yourself in one of those familiar tall shafts. Screw attack your way to the very top to find a super missile upgrade at the apex. Now it's time to get that power bomb back from the Zebesian thief. Exit the shaft through the only door on the right wall and proceed to the right side of the following shaft. Watch out for those black Zebesian. Then blast the red door open on the right wall to enter the hangar bay. A door blocks your path to those scout ships. Your ticket out of here. Climb to the top of the room and crawl left through the narrow tunnel in the ceiling. Cross the next room while taking out 2 black Zebesians. Avoid their massive jumping attacks and green laser fire. You'll enter a gigantic twisting chamber. Head over to the left side and wait patiently as a maintenance robot slowly clears the path ahead. These things move at their own pace, so just be patient. Into the ship's heart. Descend the next shaft while clearing out Zebesians. At the bottom, you'll spot a yellow door on the right that requires power bombs to open. Remember this location. Now head left and navigate through the corridor using the narrow tunnels you're now familiar with. Follow the corridors and shafts filled with Zebesian patrols until you reach what appears to be the ship's bridge. Fast forward to today, and Zero Mission presents us with a fascinating case study in how certain types of game development have become nearly extinct. When Nintendo announced it for the Nintendo Switch Online in 2024, something remarkable happened. Sales of the old Wii U Virtual Console version immediately spiked. 20 years later, people were still discovering what made this remake special. But here's what's really interesting about Zero Mission's modern relevance. It represents a type of creative risk-taking that we rarely see anymore. This wasn't a safe remaster or a quick cash grab port. This was a complete creative do-over with unlimited time and resources crafted by the original vision holder with 2 decades of hindsight. You can see this influence in how modern developers approach remakes, but often they're missing the key ingredient that made Zero Mission work: fearless expansion of the original version. Too many contemporary remakes play it safe, updating graphics and calling it finished. Zero Mission proved that sometimes the best way to honor source material is to complete the thoughts it could only hint at. The technical DNA of Zero Mission shows up in unexpected places throughout modern gaming. That seamless integration of old and new mechanics, you can trace that philosophy through games like Hollow Knight and Axiom Verge. Modern indies that understand how to evolve classic formulas without losing their essential character. Here's something that might surprise you. Zero Mission's approach to difficulty scaling has become more relevant than ever. That 3-tier system with meaningful gameplay differences, not just damage multipliers, anticipated the accessibility discussions we're having today. Nintendo was already thinking about how to serve both newcomers and veterans without compromising either experience. The preservation aspect is perhaps most important. Zero Mission didn't just remake a game, it preserved a way of thinking about game design that was already becoming rare in 2004. The idea that players should be trusted to explore, to get lost, to figure things out through experimentation rather than tutorials and waypoints. When we look at the current landscape of remakes and remasters, Zero Mission stands as proof that going backward can be the most innovative thing you can do if you're brave enough to complete the vision rather than just update the graphics. You'll recognize it by the huge windows on the left wall showing the outside. Here's where you'll finally get your revenge. Head to the bottom left corner and drop down the narrow hole you find there. Roll through the twisting tunnels below to find yourself above the room that Powerball thief is lurking. Now watch as he walks off to the right. Follow him to discover your first power bomb resting between 2 wall laser tripwires. Space jump over the top and drop down to reclaim what's rightfully yours. Test out that power bomb by opening the yellow door on the right, then head inside to reveal another power bomb upgrade. Power bomb conservation strategy. Keep in mind that your power bomb supply is limited and the only way to refill them is through save room. Those Zebesians are too stingy to drop ammo refills. This means you'll need to plan your route carefully and save frequently. From the bridge room, you can grab an energy tank upgrade if you want, but we're focusing on efficient completion here. Backtrack and save your game to refill those power bombs before heading into the ship's lower levels. With your fully upgraded suit, you can achieve that coveted 100% item completion rate. This game tracks every missile tank, every energy tank, super missile upgrade, and every power bomb you collect. Some of these final items require complex shine spark sequences, precise space jump timing, or clever use of the power bombs to reveal hidden passages, the satisfaction of finding every secret the developers tucked away through Zeebs is simply incredible. With your fully upgraded arsenal and complete map knowledge, you're not just surviving anymore, you're dominating every environment and enemy the game can throw at you. The transformation from vulnerable infiltrator back to legendary bounty hunter is now complete. Head towards the hangar bay, that door blocking the scout ships. Yeah, still closed. Frustrating, right? But there's one last area up top we haven't explored yet. The huge seemingly empty chamber at the top of the ship. This is where the story starts picking up steam. Top bridge and hidden rooms. Make your way to the bridge, but don't just stroll in. Save your game. Seriously. Stock up on energy and ammo because things are about to get intense. From the top right door, you'll find a dead-end room. Looks boring, right? Wrong. Drop a power bomb to reveal a hidden tunnel. Crawl through because this is one of the last secrets in the ship. The next corridor holds an energy tank. Grab it if you haven't already. It might just save your life in the final next moments. Enter the last unexplored room. But here's the ticker. It looks like a completely emptied maintenance room. The lights are dim. The door seals behind you, and you start hearing a faint scraping sound. Remember that huge green mechanical eye we saw earlier? Brace yourself. You're about to meet its owner, Mecha Ridley, the final showdown. Out of nowhere, Mecha Ridley bursts in. Yes, a giant mechanical version of Ridley, head and arms included. This is your last boss before escape. So let's break it down. Mechanical claws swipe across the floor, dodge left or right. Laser beams fire in bursts. Time your jump carefully. Weak points flash on the head and arms. These are your targets. Pro tips for the fight. Stay mobile. Don't get cornered. Use your charge shots wherever you can. Mecha Ridley is extremely tough. Keep your energy topped up. Missiles and refills are lifesavers. Watch your patterns carefully. This fight rewards patience over panic. Mecha Ridley doesn't go down easily. Each arm swipe and claw attacks are designed to test your reaction time, but with a mix of mobility, observation, and well-timed shots, you'll take it down. And once it collapses, you might feel relief. But wait, that eye flashes red, and the game screams, self-destruct activated. Escape sequence, the clock is ticking. Alright, now it's go time. You've got 5 minutes, 3 on hard, to escape before the mothership blows itself apart. Health refills appear above. Grab them, you're gonna need every little bit. Dash back to the bridge, shooting anything in your path. Approaching the corridor before the bridge, the shutter blocks the way. Don't waste time, shoot up into the roof, crawl through the tunnel and bypass it. Drop down and continue through the bottom right door. As you descend the next shaft, keep clearing Zebesians. Some floors can be blown open with a power bomb, creating shortcuts for a faster escape. Next, you'll hit a large room with the maintenance droid. It's slow, annoyingly slow, but you don't need it out of the way. Shoot it with the missiles or super missiles and wait for it to lumber aside. Don't worry, you still have plenty of time to escape. Hangar Bay final obstacles. From here, it's a straight shot to the Hangar Bay, but 2 black Zebesians are waiting for you near the hangar door. These guys are fast, tricky, and will chip away at your health if you're careless. That's the legacy we're left with. A reminder that the best way to honor the past might be to fearlessly imagine what it could have been if the creators had unlimited time, unlimited resources, and 20 years of wisdom to guide them. Zero Mission's development journey, from crisis point to creative triumph, represents something we rarely see in today's gaming landscape. It's the story of developers who had the courage to completely rebuild their own work, not because the market demanded it, but because they believed they could tell the story better the second time around. Tips for handling the Zebesians. Lure them one at a time to the platform above the scout ships. Use fully charged shots, 3 hits will finish each. Pay attention to jumps and laser attacks. Dodge and counterattack. Keep your movement smooth, don't let them corner you. Once they're down, the hangar door opens, but don't relax yet. One last Zebesian jumps out from the scout ship. In an industry increasingly driven by focus groups and data analytics, Zero Mission reminds us that sometimes the most innovative thing you can do is trust your creative instincts. Take it out quickly, then hop into the cockpit, and finally, breathe. Samus is airborne, escaping the doomed mothership as it self-destructs behind her. Watch the Zebesian's futile attempts to stop her. Classic. After the credits roll, check out the Chozo Warriors room. A tiny engraving of young Samus with 2 Chozo adults awaits. Adorable, right? Your artwork reward will depend on your clear time, your collected items, your difficulty setting. This is where the hardcore players start hunting for all the secrets, image gallery unlocks, hidden items, and sequence breaking tricks. It's a philosophy that could transform how we think about preserving and reimagining our digital heritage. I'm the Retro Kingpin. Thanks for watching.